We promise Aaron to put it all together.
I wasn't in there. All this is on tape, guys.
Welcome again, welcome you all to Midway Elementary. And I want to thank you again for putting me in this position last year. It's in the 16 months or so that I've been here. It's been the greatest place that I've been in my career. I could not have been put in a place where there are hard-working, better people. I mean, the staff here is just great, the students are great, the community's great, and not only has it been great for me, it's been great for my family as well as my daughter's in school here as well. So, thank you for that. And as you see on the screen, you'll see our mission statement was educating the whole child to thrive in an ever-changing world. When we were named a priority school and we had to work on our strategic plan, the leadership team and myself, we sat down and we looked at this statement and we changed it. I don't even remember what we changed it to now, but I can tell you this, after we changed it, we thought, the state's going to be looking really closely at our strategic plan, and they're going to want to know, did we actually go in and consider it and make changes. So I think we changed it more for that than anything else. But after we talked about it, after we spent all the 2 days maybe, working, well not two, just after school a couple hours for 2 days, looking at this, we decided that this was really the statement that fit us. And so we went back to it. And so it continues to be our mission statement. Now, this part is really hard for me to talk about because I know, and anybody who's even ever been into school and has visited with our students, with our teachers, they've been in the classrooms, they will tell you that this is a great school. As a matter of fact, when the priority team came in here, Ms. Georgia Thornton, who was over the priority team, when she sat down with me at the exit meeting, she said, I don't know how this is a priority school. This is the best priority school I've ever seen. Your test scores just don't match. You're on launch pad, you're ready to take off. And so, as I report to you our test scores, it's not a pretty picture. As you can see, we got the designation of a priority school based on 3 years previous data. Our index score for last year was right at 24. Our target score was nearly 37. And next year, our target score is 42. We have a lot of work ahead of us to get there. It's not going to be easy, and we know that. But as far as meeting the index target score, no, we didn't do it. We did meet at least 50% of our targets in math and reading, and we certainly met the participation rate at 100%. Now, well, let me just back up a little bit. As you know, all schools by 2020, they've got to get to 75. So, if we're here now, we're not even a third of the way there. We've got a lot of work to do. All right, proficiency used to be everything when it came to test scores. You were either met the proficiency rate or you didn't. Made a YP status or you didn't. Well, now it's only 40%. I'm going to get to a slide that shows you the proficiency of our students in language arts, reading, language arts, and math here in just a second. But as you can see, our school on proficiency, as part of the index score, we were only at a 17.58. And when you compare that to the state average of 42, again, there was a lot of work ahead of us. You know, whatever that like. In closing the achievement gap, again, comparing us with the state average, there's a lot of work to do there. Observed growth, meaning how much are our kids improving. Maybe they're not proficient, but did they improve? Did they grow? We're not halfway there to even the state average. Adequate growth, are they growing enough? Are we growing at a pace such that we would make that 75% come 2020? And as you can see, it's not the case. Our attendance rate was 97.2. That's a good attendance rate. Of course, remember, in attendance rate, doctors' excuses and parent excuses at the 10 are not counting against you. So that's why you see so many. This high school in elementary, they must only have one kid absent the whole year. 99.9%. But our attendance rate is good. We have incentive programs in place for attendance, and you know, our kids come to school. We have a few that come in tardy, but overall, our attendance rate is very good. And of course, there's our index score, and if you compare that to the state average, again, we're not even halfway there. All right, now when we look at our scores over the last 2 years, if you look at math, we've had from 2012 to last year's scores, we had about a little over 5% increase. Our biggest problem in math is in the 4th grade. Our 4th grade scores, you know, compared to the 3rd grade, and as I look at the past data, it's happened a lot over the years. From going from 3rd grade to 4th grade, we've seen a dip in those scores. And our RLA scores, they went back a little under 2%. So as you can see here, we've got a major problem at midway with reading and writing. And 40% of your score in your RLA comes from the online writing assessment, and we took a big hit in our overall scores because our writing scores just weren't up to par. Now, when we look at subgroups, 2 that I really want to talk about tonight are the special ed scores and the male and female subgroups. When you look at our special ed scores, we tested 26 special ed students. And I think these numbers can kind of be tamed a little bit because as I looked at the data, if you had a kid who's in special ed for speech only, they're in this 26. They're counted in there. But as you can see, our these 26 kids, I don't know what exactly number that would be, but it could be more than just a couple, that were proficient. And over here, you're looking at 1. In reading language arts, only 1 of our special ed kids, and I looked that up, and it was a speech-only kid who was proficient in special education. And then, if you look at our male and female, there's not a big gap between our males and females in math, about 3%. But when you look at reading language arts, between males and females, the boys just killed us. We're looking at nearly a 30% gap between males and females here in New Elementary. I know Mr. Bigkins told me that's a problem pretty much across the county, with males scoring so much lower. But this is a tremendous gap. You know, if we just have our boys at 30%, we're going to be well over 50%. as a school. So I think this is the most alarming, the two most alarming things that came out of our test data for me is the gap between our special ed and regular ed. And when you're looking at testing 92 non-disability students and 26 with disability, those 26, you know, that's 118 students total tested. 26, those 26 special ed kids are having a big impact on our overall schools, as well as the boys overall. And of course, this doesn't include the third grade data for the males and females. The state didn't have that listed in there, but in our third grade, it's the same thing. There's no change. If we were to add that in, we would get pretty much the same numbers. So with that being said, you know, we really have to put a focus in our special education and with our male students. Okay, how do we plan to improve? Now, just overall climate, school climate. We have partnered with, this year, with, actually at the end of last year, with Home Depot. And a couple of our kids, their parent brought them to school and found out he was an employee at Home Depot, so I talked with him. And he said, you know, we support a couple of schools, but he said, we've got one that we're looking to get rid of because they don't appreciate anything. So I told him, you know, well, anything you do for us, we'll really appreciate. Well, Home Depot has came in and they've did a flower garden for us. They've gave supplies to teachers as far as just cleaning materials for the classrooms, supplies to build things in the classrooms. You know, like closets. I can take you to some classrooms and show you a couple things that Home Depot has their hand in. They're also purchasing stuff for our after-school program, craft kits for the kids that do an after-school. They're sending people out, and they're going to do those crafts for the kids. So Home Depot has really been great for us. The Cold River, of course, has done. They did a lot for this school before I was out here, as far as the playground, the fencing around, and they also give financial support. But as we looked at our priority schools report, there were a couple of things in there that they recommended that we do. And a couple of these things are on here. Faculty spotlight. They felt like we needed to recognize faculty every month. And we looked at, you know, teacher of the month, and we thought to ourselves, well, you're going to, if you do a teacher of the month, you're going to have jealousies pop up, so forth and so on. And you got more teachers than you had months, and you know who's going to be this month. So we decided not to do that, and we decided that we would just recognize all staff, certain members of the staff every month. And we give them a page that they fill out, we take a picture, and we put it on the board, and the PTO buys them lunch during that month at some point in time. And I was on there for the first month of August, and I can tell you, I got my cheeseburger and fries from across the road. Also, we didn't have a student voice. And so they recommended that we create a student council. It's been really not had a student council for a while, for a long time. But I'll tell you what, I've met with them a few times now, and they're amazing. They've actually helped me solve a couple of problems, having parents. Their input. So just and Natalie Fowler, the young lady who opened up, she's the president of the student council, and it's just I didn't realize. I mean, I did the student council at Lincoln County High School. I was the advisor there, and I'm gonna tell you, these little ones, they have as much insight as the teenagers. A student mentor program, which we're still in the works of putting in place. We have our students and we have our mentors. We're going to pair some of our younger kids with 4th and 5th grade students, responsible 4th and 5th grade students with We also have a new computer lab, and I want to thank you all for that. We have an awesome computer lab upstairs now. And when I got here last year, the school didn't have any computer labs. Of course, Odyssey, West Virginia Rice, TechSteps, West Tech now is completely online. You really can't operate without a computer lab. You can't do it. And so, it was much needed. Now we have two. We have two computer labs. We created a teacher workroom with the help of PTO since our last meeting. It's a nice place for teachers upstairs. And we've also continued with our responsible student program.